Hey folks, Ray from Rainmaker.com here. Today I've got Garmin's Vector 3 pedals. Now these pedals were actually announced about 2 months ago, back in August at Eurobike 2017, but now we are finally seeing them start to ship. Now I've actually been riding these for about 2.5, almost 3 months now, I guess since late July. So I've been doing a bunch of testing on this, but this is the final production model. So what I want to do here is a bit of an unboxing of the Vector 3, show you what's in it, show its comparison size to the PowerTap P1 pedals and the Favero Asiomo pedals, which are sort of the main competitors in this particular market. So what we got here is the Vector 3 box. It's sort of about the size of like a cigar box, a little bit smaller than a shoe box, you can see there. And in fact, it can do a bit of a cool party trick that I'm horrible at doing, but I'll overlay the video right now, where it makes a display box. So bike shops can go ahead and use it in this configuration. So you can go ahead and just see it looks kind of pretty. Or if you just want to leave it on your shelf at home and be sort of that awkward guy, you can definitely do that too. So we'll go and crack it open here. Inside the box itself, we've got a bit of a manual for both Vector 3 and 3S. Keep in mind the 3S version is simply the left only pedal. So you get 2 pedals, but only one of them has a power meter sensor in it. And that's the same as it was on the Vector 1 or Vector S, and then Vector 2 and 2S, and now 3 and 3S. And a lot of other manufacturers do the same thing as well, whether it be PowerTap or Favero, or even things like Stages with left only crank arms. So we've got here, this is a super quick guide to getting things set up. It's honestly very, very basic in terms of how you do this, how you install it. You're installing it with a wrench. I mean, it's so easy compared to the past. There are no longer pods, as you'll see, so you don't really need a very big installation guide. You don't really need the guide at all after this particular video. Then we got some legal stuff, the usual things. If you go and kill yourself, it's totally not their fault and definitely your fault. The one thing to keep in mind is there is a weight limit though on these pedals. I believe off the top of my head, it's 115 kilos. Let's see if it shows it right here or not. It does not show it on this one. I will overlay it on there. The weight limit is something that Garmin's determined from a safety standpoint as the limit for those pedals. And there's lots of debate about whether that limit should be in a weight-based metric like kilograms or pounds, or it should be a wattage-based metric like 2,000 watts, etc. But it is what it is. That is a limit they've set from a safety standpoint. So do heed that and make sure that you are following that. With that, we get rid of the little white fluffy thing. And then we've got the pedals sitting right there. So you can see the 2 pedals there. They're both in these small plastic bags to keep them even cleaner. We'll go ahead and pull these out. So if you have Vector S, you'll still have 2 pedals as I mentioned, but it's simply that one of them will be sensing, meaning that one of them will have the sensor technology of the power meter in it and one of them will not. But otherwise they will look identical, so you're not just getting one pedal and have to be the awkward guy on the street. Below this, we've got, let's see, here is a kit, so a little plastic bag of more goodness. So let's just remove this off the side. There's nothing else in there, just paper, cardboard. And then here we go. We've got 1 cleat, 2 cleats, plastic bag, empty case. Put that over there as well. And then we have the basically the screws and whatnot to take the cleats and put the cleats onto the bottom of your shoes. So you can go and put these on, and you can buy any additional ones. So these are standard Lokio cleats. So you can go ahead and use existing Lokio cleats on your shoes if you want to. I've done that on mine, in fact, for a couple weeks before I switched over to these ones when my Keo cleats were getting pretty old and rough. But you can go and buy new cleats through anyone that you want, or buy them off Garmin's site as well. And that's just the mounting material for them. And then you have washers. The main purpose of the washer here isn't like in the past. In the past, the goal of the washer was to go ahead and prevent this. So if I take a washer out, there we go. So you put a washer on like this, and you prevent this portion of the pedal from touching the crank arm. You didn't want that, especially on carbon crank arms, because you don't want any sort of cracking to go on there. And while that is certainly the case to a degree here, what the real purpose is to keep this portion of it from going through the crank arm and touching your chain. So some crank arms may be a bit thinner, and this could go pop through and it might brush the chain. It won't really do anything other than brush it, so this prevents that. You'll notice they're a little bit thicker than standard washers that Garmin had in the past, as well as PowerTap has and Favero has. But essentially, these are the pedals. I mean, there's not really much to them. You'll see it's got a light on the inside, so the light on both sides tells you status. Let's see if I can go and get to turn on here. Now this one isn't quite turning on. Usually it's using based on force and whatnot, so it's kind of hard to force that right here. But you got the lights that turn on there that show you status, and you can do pairing that way. And then the battery compartment is right here. So if I go ahead and grab a wrench real quick, I can open this up and you can look at the batteries inside of them. And it's taking two LR44, SR44 batteries. They do specify there are some slight differences there as to which ones you want. But inside, what you can see, the way this works is the battery pops out like that, and then there's another one underneath it there. So two per side. Let me see if I can get this all the way out. There you go, just chilling in there inside, and then you kind of pop them back in again, and I'm doing this all upside down, trying to do it at the same time for you. There we go, 1 and 2, almost like a little cage, if you will, and then put that there, and then simply go into the pedal and go back in. So pretty straightforward. You can do it using your thumb most of the way, and then just the rest of the way like that, and then there we go. I'll see if I can get the light back up again. Not yet, but that's fine. And then we also have some O-rings as well if you need extra O-rings down the road for that particular seal. So you can see really rather basic and straightforward. Let's instead talk about size. Now, of course, everyone will be asking about the differences between the PowerTap P1, the Favero Asiomo, and the Vector 3. And I wrote a full post on it, so definitely check out that post in the description link there. It is way more detailed than I ever expected it to be. I started off thinking it was gonna be like a post I could write in like 45 minutes. And then 9 hours later, I was still writing this post. There are so many nuanced differences, it's actually kind of impressive. I'm not gonna try to cover them all in this video. Instead, I'm just gonna focus on the size sort of things. So what we got right here, my handy dandy scale, we got it on grams. So I'm gonna start off with a single Vector 3 pedal. We'll put it on. You'll see it comes in at 161 grams, 162 grams, 61 grams. It's just kind of teetering on the edge there. If I put both on there, it's 323. And this is all you need to mount these on your bike. There's, again, no pods with Vector 3 like there was with Vector 1 and Vector 2. PowerTap P1 also podless, just a bit chubbier. 217, 216, again, just to compare real quick, for one pod, you're looking at 161, 162. So that is quite a bit difference. If I put both on there as well, there we go, at 434. And then finally, the Favero Asiomo pedal. This does have its little pod thing on the side, but there's no other mounting hardware. 149 grams, so a little bit lighter than the Vector 3, which again was 161. And if we put both on here, coming in at 299, 300 grams for both. So a bit lighter, but at the same time, you've also got the pod thing, which some people like, some people don't like. These are like 250 bucks cheaper than the Garmin, so that's definitely something to consider. Whereas the PowerTap P1 is unfortunately the same price as the Garmin. I think that makes it a bit more difficult. So there we go, just a quick look at the unboxing of the Garmin Vector 3. Stay tuned to the channel for more stuff on it. Also, I talk a little bit more about Vector 3 in general in some of my other videos from Eurobike, as well as within the Edge 1030 video. I show some of that there. So the Edge 1030, of course, is Garmin's new head unit. It does connect to Garmin Cycling Dynamics, which is one of the major, I guess you could say, buying or selling points for Vector 3 is Cycling Dynamics. And what's really interesting, it's not really well known yet, is that at the AMP Plus Symposium back about a month ago, Garmin did announce they are opening up Cycling Dynamics to all companies. So PowerTap and Favero and other companies can now get in the game, go ahead and deliver those Cycling Dynamics, the extra additional metrics, and get into it. They can go ahead and leverage the Garmin platform and put it in their own power meter pedals. Okay, I just want to take a small diversion here to go ahead and show you how to install it. It is so silly simple that it's going to take less than 60 seconds end to end. That's my hope. Start the timer now. What we got is a pedal. This is the right pedal. This is, of course, the left pedal. And then we have a pedal wrench. You do need a pedal wrench of some sort to make it all nice and tight. We just simply use our fingers here to get it on the crank arm. I mean, it doesn't take long at all. You can use a pedal wrench to do this first part, but it's going to take a lot longer to go around and around and around and around. Once you've got it there, then you just go ahead and grab your pedal wrench, find the correct side, and that's it. You're done. Now repeat the same process. There we go. Oops. For the other side, there we go. Make sure you go the right way, otherwise it won't do much good. And now you could use the spacers here if you wanted to. In my case, I'm actually all right. It doesn't really pop through very much, so I don't really need to do that. And again, the pedal wrench, just simply lock it in place, and we are done. The installation's complete. Now, one thing you need to do is go ahead on your Garmin or whatever device you're using and pair it up. Once you've found it, validate that you set the crank lengths correctly. In my case, it's 175. It's written on the inside of your crank arm. So if you're not sure, just look inside right there. You'll see it like 172.5, 175, 172.5 is the default and the most common. And then do a 0 offset of this. Now I recommend that you go ahead and do a quick sprint on trainer or somewhere else, like 3 to 5 seconds. Just give it a go to make this nice and tight and set that, and then do another 0 offset and you're off and running. With that, thanks for watching. Go and whack that like button down the bottom as well as the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to also check out, as I mentioned, the comparison post I have in the link below, as well as a preview and soon my full in-depth review of Garmin Vector 3. Have a good one.